Hey everyone, this is Nikki James, and you are listening to another wrestling podcast. Ugh.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
The measuring stick just changed around here, buddy. You're looking at
the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
These are the best in the world, brother. These are the best at what they do.
When we talk about the legends of the sport, there's only two in my book.
Another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. I'm Credo.
And I'm Angry Kuter.
Together, we are the Social Assassins.
And we're just calling it how we see it, Credo. That's the truth right there.
That's it, man. And this is episode 134. Who is joining us on another wrestling podcast?
Well, this week we got another legend from WWE, Mr. USA himself, Tony Atlas, Credo.
The Undertaker had a streak, but we have an even bigger streak because 134 episodes in, and we've had a guest every single week for the past 2 years. Incredible. If it's your first time joining us, make sure you head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. That's the mothership of AWP. You'll find anything and everything dealing with our show. Past guests, how to like us, follow us, subscribe to us, poke us, whatever. You'll find it over there. Reminding everybody, this weekend, Northeast Wrestling is coming to North Plainfield High School in North Plainfield, New Jersey. Saturday, November 19th, Northeast Wrestling. We're big fans of them. Make sure if you head on over there this weekend, tell them AWP sent you. Head on over to northeastwrestling.com. Pick up your tickets. Every and any show you go to is definitely worth every penny of it. Kuta, man, we just got out of the Jake the Snake Roberts experience pretty much last week over at Laugh It Up Comedy Club. I mean, that was one hell of a show.
What a great show. His opener was awesome. Kool-Aid. Guy was a really good self-deprecating comic. Enjoyed his material. But Jake's stories are just hilarious. So if he's going to be in your town, we highly recommend that you check out his show because, I mean, some of these stories will just blow your mind. Incredible.
Yeah, man. I mean, give it up to Laugh It Up Comedy Club in New York because they know that Poughkeepsie is the capital of pro wrestling, which I like to call. From Jim Cornette to Hacksaw Jim Duggan to Joel Gertner, now to Jake the Snake, and we've heard some other names they might be bringing up, but I'm not going to give them away yet because I'd love let them announce it.
I know, but it's so great because I've heard some of these names and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm dying to see some of these guys.
Yeah, man. Kudos to Laugh It Up for tapping into the wrestling world as well as comedy world because it's like going to see a live shoot interview, if you will, and that's great. I mean, we have a lot of wrestling fans over here and a lot of people who love comedy. So you throw it all together and it's money. It's money.
Yeah, definitely, man. A really good show and kudos Laugh It Up Comedy Club for putting on a great show.
That's right. Now, Kuter, each and every week we try to be a topical show, so no matter if you're listening to episode 1 or 134, there's something on the show that you can go back to and listen. But, now that the landscape has changed in the world of WWE at least, because we're pretty much a 99% WWE show, granted we'll talk about anything and everything wrestling, but, let's face the facts, the WWE is the cream of the crop. Now, with the brand split, and now what we're hearing, Survivor Series is going to be 6 hours of a show. I think they're going to be doing that to all the big 4 pay-per-views from the Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series are going to be always 6+ hour shows because it's going to be both brands on it. So I think we're going to have to dedicate the show talking about NXT Takeover in Toronto this weekend and Survivor Series happening. So I mean, before we get into that, though, do you remember Survivor Series as a kid? I mean, I loved it. Thanksgiving, the Survivor Series, the gobbledygooker.
Yeah, it was always the day before Thanksgiving, so it was usually Wednesday. It's Wednesday, so it wasn't your typical Sunday pay-per-view. So even as a kid, I remember that was probably one of the first ones I ever ordered, Survivor Series 91. That was with Hogan and Undertaker for the title. That was the first one I ever ordered. Just a really, really good card from top to bottom.
I mean, I just remember it was definitely like, everybody's sitting around Thanksgiving, they're waiting to go home or whatnot. I wanted to eat really quick, and I wanted to sit down and watch Survivor Series. I remember, the biggest thing I loved about Survivor Series was that they had teams. And I know, granted, they had brought back the kind of the team aspect this year, but I'm talking about, like, the Hulkamaniacs, the Ultimate War, real teams where they took somebody and they had somebody similar or somewhat, and then they joined them. I wish they would have more of that. To where, okay, we get it, it's Raw versus SmackDown, but still, I miss those kind of teams with Survivor Series.
Man, I got a funny story for you, though. I remember, I think it was 6th grade, and our teachers were having us write an essay about Thanksgiving and what we were looking forward to. And I'm telling you, this is how embarrassing it was to be a mark when you were a kid in a Catholic school in 6th grade, because the very last paragraph, I'll never forget, it was, and when I think of Thanksgiving, I think of the WWE Survivor Series, right?
Yep.
And I'm going on in this promo on why it's so important, because it was like their yearly Thanksgiving pay-per-view, right? And what made it so funny was the teacher didn't, like, put comments and, like, basically, like, grade it or, for content or whatever. We had to give it to another student, and this little jabroni,
little Jimmy,
literally, he crossed out, that whole paragraph, right? And he goes, "This has nothing to do with Thanksgiving."
What?
And when I saw this, I jumped up out of my seat in the middle of a Catholic school and said, "You little bastard, what are you talking about? It's the Thanksgiving pay-per-view for WWE. You have no idea what you're talking about." And I cut this outlandish promo on him to the point where I think I got suspended for 2 days.
Nice, a little Angry Kuter promo in 6th grade. That's great. Little Susie wrote about family, little Jimmy wrote about food, and Angry Kuter wrote about Survivor Series.
I mean, I wrote about all that stuff, but it was just a separate paragraph. Like, some people like football. I like wrestling. Get over it.
That's right. Well, let's get right into it, I guess, because this weekend is what it's all about. It's giving thanks in wrestling, pretty much. This is kind of a new thing, if you will, with NXT having a pay-per-view on before the big show, and I guess they're probably going to be doing this for all of the big 4 shows, which is great. NXT Takeover Toronto. Now, Kuter, we've talked about NXT lately to where we've kind of said it's almost lost some of its shine, if you will. With a lot of the call-ups now, a lot of guys are still finding their place in NXT. It's a rebuilding season, if you will. So let's get right into NXT Takeover.
Let me ask you this, though, in terms of that. I mean, because for me, I love NXT, but for me right now, there's just so much TV, and unfortunately, I almost feel like SmackDown took away from NXT for me, because there's just,
I agree.
Like, I live off of Hulu, I live off of my Netflix. Like, when something comes out, I gotta watch it. I'm like, how do I not have time for that 1 hour of NXT?
I know.
It makes no sense to me, and I feel so guilty, because a lot of this stuff, I mean, I know the card, and I'm like, why am I not watching this? Because I love everybody on this card.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I think the live SmackDown, they made it a must see, and watching a must see of 3 hours then 2 hours of wrestling, you kind of want to take a break the next day. I mean, there's only so much wrestling a week you could watch. Don't get me wrong, I love to watch it all, but there's other things that I have to do and watch and whatnot. So something has to take the end of get cut off in a way. To where I'm still playing catch up on some shows, so let's put it at that. But I'll be caught up by the weekend. But regardless, it's the rebuilding season for NXT. But still, we can talk about some of the predictions of some of the matches coming up and what we think about it. But NXT Takeover Toronto. Let's start from the bottom to the top, if you will. I'm sure they'll probably add another match here or there, but whatever. We're going to talk about these matches that we have in front of us. The NXT Tag Team Championship. 2 out of 3 falls match. The Revival champions versus DIY.
You know what's crazy is that this match is probably the one I'm looking forward to most, because I love Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano, and they seem to have this great chemistry with the Revival. I mean, the Takeover Brooklyn, was it Takeover Brooklyn 2 where they had their first title shot against them? I believe it was, and correct me if I'm wrong. But it was just such an incredible match. It was the one I enjoyed the most, and now it makes me so invested in this. A 2 out of 3 falls match. Just great idea, great booking. This is what I'm looking forward to right there.
All right, now let me hear your thoughts because, the Revival have been a great throwback tag team. They've been incredible. They've been the champions off and on. Gargano and Tommaso have been thrown together. They also have been in the Cruiserweight Classic. They've been pulling a lot of duty here and there. But to me, I personally don't want to see them win the tag team championships. I don't think they're going to add to the tag team division. I feel like if they lose, and I think they should lose, I think they will probably get maybe called up to either SmackDown or Raw somehow. I think a tag team has to come out of, some other tag team, which we'll talk about another tag team match coming up. I think one of these teams have to be the ones to beat the Revival. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Revival retain.
I would venture to agree with you because I don't see them bringing Gargano and Ciampa up as a team. You'd be surprised when I was watching SmackDown this week. They have a lot of tag teams on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I mean, you have
it's almost overkill now.
Yeah, you got the champs. You
even have the B Squad with the headbangers on standby, and you got all these other guys too just lying around.
The thing. They had I think it was a 6-on-6 match.
Or Ascension can't even be on the team because
exactly. I would rather see them in the Cruiserweight division because that's a division that really has no depth.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the Revival, the only reason I would want Gargano and Ciampa to win was so the Revival can go up.
Yeah.
And could you imagine the match that they could have with the club? Oh, my God.
And I think, if I played devil's advocate and said, okay, well, if DIY does win, I think it's almost a nod for the performances they have pulled out from the Cruiserweight Classic to, NXT in Brooklyn and all that other stuff to where it's like almost like, thanks, guys. You've been really helping us out a little bit. To where I'd see them get the tag team championships, but I'm sticking with my gut, and I'm gonna have to say that the Revival is gonna pull out strong here.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit Bobby Roode and Ty Dillinger. Now, your boy Ty Dillinger is finally found his niche with this Perfect 10 gimmick going up against Bobby Roode. They were teammates for the first round of the Classic, and unfortunately, Bobby Roode ran like hell. I guess it was against the Authors of Pain, if I'm not mistaken. But, oh my God, these two could potentially steal the show, maybe. I mean, Ty's so over, and Bobby Roode is way over, too. Two great gimmicks, two great technicians. So, I mean, this is another. I want to say Bobby Roode because I really think he needs to get moved up because he's a little bit aged.
Yeah. It's going to be a glorious Perfect 10 match, Kuter. I think at the end of the day, I think Ty Dillinger needs this win more than Bobby Roode does. So whether it's, a DQ, a pin or something, I don't think you're going to get a count out. I don't know. But I think Ty would definitely, be deserving of this win. Win or lose, Bobby Roode is still going to be awesome. He's going to hopefully moved up in due time. But I think if Ty Dillinger loses, it just pushes him back even more. And I think they need to build some more names down there. And I think a win over Roode will help build his name a little bit.
I mean, come on, Credo. We got No Way Jose.
Oh my God. Yeah,
right.
No way.
I kind of agree with that one. I'm just such a fan of Bobby. I can't help it.
No, of course, and we'll see what happens how they pull this out. But I think at the end of the day, Roode does not need it. The fans are going to love him regardless, and I think it'll just add more fuel to Ty's fire. So hopefully he gets the Perfect 10 win. The women's championship is next. Now, Kuter, this is almost one of those matches to where it falls under that rebuilding season. Asuka, they couldn't give anybody else a match with Asuka because they don't think any of the girls are ready or what, but apparently not. So Mickie James is coming in to fight Asuka, and I am so excited. I love Mickie James. She is my favorite women's wrestler ever. So
let me explain something to you. I am not naming this the NXT Women's Championship match. This is being renamed to which one of these ladies is going to give Angry Kuter a bigger boner match. I love both of them.
Is that PG?
Asuka,
no, that's...
Yeah, I'm not PG. I never will be. I don't care. Mickie James is a lovely woman, one of the most incredible performers I've ever seen, and she is hot as fuck.
No.
I don't care. And Asuka, same thing. Just a completely different style, something that we're not used to in America from a woman.
Yeah, and I think it's the first time we really haven't seen anybody been able to keep up with Asuka. Asuka kind of almost had to tone it down a little bit just so the girls can kind of get through a match. And now I think she's able to, or hopefully she'll be able to turn it up to her full potential with an opponent like Mickie James. And I'll tell you what, Kuter, man, I think it would really make good TV if you took that championship off Asuka and put it on Mickie James, to where you build Mickie up for a few weeks and then you have Asuka win it off for her again. But I don't know. I think just coming in for a one and done is kind of like, I think this needs a little bit more fire in the women's division. I think having Mickie James as an NXT women's champion, granted she doesn't need an NXT women's championship because you kind of think of that as the rookie league or whatever, and she's not a rookie, yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. I think having her as a women's champion just for a little bit, I'm not saying for 5 months, just a month maybe, a few weeks. I don't know. I think it might add some fire into the women's division.
Yeah, I don't really look at it as the rookie division either because, look at the people on this card. It's all pretty much seasoned veterans. You have your Bobby Roode. You have a Shinsuke Nakamura. You have a Samoa Joe. These are guys who've won titles all around the world, and it's just crazy. So adding Mickie James to a card like this is really incredible. I would love to see her win the belt because, let's be honest, nobody has beaten Asuka, and that aura of invincibility after a while gets really boring, kind of like the whole Goldberg streak to me. As exciting as that was for a while, it's like, all right, enough is enough. Let's just put this poor girl up there because, let's be honest, there is no woman on that roster that can really even touch Asuka in NXT. I'm talking about. This is again another rebuilding phase, and I think if anybody was to learn anything from one of the two in this match, it would be more Mickie James. Asuka is just a different style, very stiff, just incredible. Mickie can teach these girls and maybe help them become better performers because they got some good girls down there. Excuse me, they have some good women down there. I think that a veteran like Mickie could really benefit them.
Definitely, and it'll be interesting, needless to say, but I think this match, will be probably one of the matches of the night, and I hope they both turn it up a notch to show some women's wrestling and what they can do down there. So either way, we're all winners on that match. I think pretty much. Now we talked about the tag team. We have the finals for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament. The Authors of Pain versus TM61. The Authors of Pain, man. When I saw them a few months ago, to where they said, "Hey, look at this new tag team in NXT." They would bring out these masks, and it was almost like the masks they gave Kane to when he re-debuted. It was like a big black mask.
Yes,
those are fucking awesome. I'm like, keep them, just to make somebody different down there. Put the masks on, and look at their manager too. So it's like, come on, give them something other than just walking around like we're big giants or whatever. But I don't know who's winning this. Who's winning the finals in this tag team? Because last year it was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Who's going to be the final winner in this match?
It's nice to see that a team, an actual tag team, is going to win this. That's the one thing I'd like to say because they basically used the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic last year to really further the Finn Balor and Samoa Joe storyline, which, was incredible. So, it's a tough call for me. The Authors of Pain are just so, destructive. And TM61, very fun team to watch. So, hey, as long as I'm going to say something about the Authors of Pain, though. I do agree with you with the masks. Let's keep the masks and let's get rid of Paul Ellering because he should be in a fucking nursing home somewhere, and I don't want to see him in NXT anymore. A little cameo here and there would have been all right, but seriously, he comes down to the ring, says nothing, does nothing, holding that rolled up piece of paper in his hand. To get rid of him.
You got to be. It's better than a puppet, though. You have to admit that it's better than holding a puppet up like he used to.
Oh God!
Whoever thought of that one was brilliant. But yeah, man, I think I personally would love to see the Authors of Pain win it. I think give them something to ride on, give them, keep that momentum going of building them as a bad tag team, and then hopefully they could beat the Revival. TM61, I think the Aussies are taking over in NXT, and we did have an Australian show a few months back, and TM61 are NXT is like almost half Australian wrestlers almost at this point, but they're a great tag team. I could see them winning too. Like this match, I think is kind of hard to predict. Either one's going to win. I'd be happy with either or, but I think I'm going to have to stick with Authors of Pain. I think they could use this win a little bit more, and especially taking that trophy and just like breaking it in half will just cause more heel heat. How long do trophies last anyway? So I think having them break that will just heal them up as much as possible. So
I'm just going to give them right now the NXT tag team curse, because whenever you have like a fully kick-ass tag team from NXT and they go to the main roster, they're just going to end up like the Ascension.
Oh, man, we'll see. I think, that leads us to the main event, Kuter. The NXT Championship match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe. Now, all in all, I think this has to be Joe's last NXT match. Fucking please. Get him out of NXT. He's been there like 2 years. I can't wait to see him on the main roster. So I think really, from the destruction he's been causing the past few weeks on NXT, I think is great leading up to this match, because when Shinsuke wins, it makes him look even stronger. And, they'll just say something to where they can't let Joe back in NXT because he's too dangerous. Cue the main roster. That's what I'm hoping out of this match. Regardless what happens, that's all I want to see happen. Shinsuke win, Joe move up.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's the one thing about this match I'm really looking forward to, the ending, because I want to see Samoa Joe against some really good competition. I'll give you an example. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know this until I was told by a friend of mine that, Samoa Joe and John Cena trained together and broke into the business together. What a cool little storyline that would be. Geez, even if you had a Samoa Joe versus a Roman Reigns, the battle of the Samoans, or hell, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. We can bring it back to the TNA days. There's just so much that they can do with a guy like him, especially the way they built this badass heel persona of his. Now Nakamura, I mean, he's getting main roster money. So there is also that offshoot that they just might put the belt back on Joe and bring up Shinsuke, because you know what? Why not?
That's true.
Let's see. How many times have we been, led to believe one thing because we think we know it all, and then we're like, oh shit, we were wrong. That would be nice. I wouldn't mind being wrong there.
Sure. Well, regardless, I mean, if Shinsuke does win, I don't want him to stay down. I don't want him to be like a Samoa Joe. I don't want him to be down there for like 2 years. I could say maybe till Mania, then after Mania, bring him up. I don't know. I don't want him to see. I don't want to see them holding somebody like these two guys have been in the business for a while. They're veterans, pretty much. I think they need to go back to those grassroots and build up NXT as NXT. Somebody needs to beat Shinsuke or somebody needs to beat Joe and get that momentum or that win after this to where they're the next NXT champion, whether it be a few months down the line or whatever. But they really need to stop putting the championship on guys who are vets. I think it's time to, get behind somebody, make them the NXT championship. I keep saying championship. Make them the NXT champion and stick with them. Put it on. I don't know who's down there that you'd want to put it on, especially. But
that's the problem. I mean, the only person that you really have down there. That's why it's going to be a shame when Joe leaves and Nakamura leaves, because all you really have left is Bobby Roode and Austin Aries. I mean,
he's out for a while too.
That new faction too, but I mean, where do we go from here? I mean, this isn't we're poaching over here now.
Because when you look back on the NXT champions, I mean, you've had Bo Dallas, you've had Neville, you've had Big E, Seth Rollins. You had a lot of rookies that won that championship and moved up. give it to another rookie. It doesn't need to be on, the TNA class of 2005. So
I don't know. Do you think that they kind of do that because back then NXT wasn't on the road?
No,
and we have to have somebody to draw.
Oh, of course. I 100% agree with that too. But at the same time, I'm like, is it only going to be guys who have been in the business that you're giving the belt to? Like, I want to see somebody come out of the shadows, like, just Ty Dillinger, for example, whatever. But hear me out. You put it on him, and then you have him carry it for a year or two. Build him up as a good, just somebody. Somebody has to come out of the shadows and kind of get rid of what they're doing now as far as making these names like Nakamura and Joe and Rude the main champions or whatnot. And Austin Aries, like, I don't know. It's different with that whole brand split, man. It sure has shaken things up.
You know what's interesting too is, and it's funny that you say this. NXT was originally made to develop talent, and
it's like that third brand now.
When was the last time that we've had, somebody that WWE has developed themselves come up from NXT? All your major bring-ups outside of the Women's Revolution, has been big name guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens. These are guys who are big on the indies.
We have
not had a WWE developed guy coming out of NXT since Roman Reigns, I don't think.
That's it, man. So yeah, they got to get back on track, I think, or else it's just going to blow up in their face to where they're going to run out of these big names, and it's just going to turn into, it's not really developmental. It's kind of like that third brand now, or, NXT, it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT. It's not developmental NXT, but it's like I said, it's the rebuilding season, but screw it. It's going to be a great time regardless this weekend. But joining us right now, you've seen him on Legends House. He was Simba Samba. He's Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. He's joining us right now. Also, if you want to see him this weekend, please check out our friend Eric Sims at ESSpromotions.com, where he's bringing in the best talent that we never get a chance to meet. So ESSpromotions.com, and please welcome...
Wait a minute. It's no BS. It's ESS.
That's right. Please welcome Tony Atlas. Our guest today is a WWE Hall of Famer, a man who is known as Mr. USA in bodybuilding. He has been a multi-time champion throughout his career, as well as a manager in recent years, and you also saw him on WWE's Legends House. Please welcome Tony Atlas. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Well, it's awfully nice being with you. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. Now, this weekend, you'll be with ESS Promotions on November 19th at PPW and on the 20th at the Pro Wrestling World in Allentown, Pennsylvania. What's it like to get out there and meet the fans who have watched you for your entire career?
Like you said, I've been in this business, ever since the 70s. Started with Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, worked for World Class, worked in Puerto Rico, worked in all over Europe and everything. And no matter where we go, sometimes we would go to an area. It takes us a long time to get there. You get there, you're jet lag or whatever, but as soon as you get around the fan, they give you that extra energy.
Definitely.
So, no matter how old you get, it's in our blood now. So, and not only that, I'm going to get to meet a lot of wonderful fans that I've been known, all through the years. But another good thing about it, they're going to have other legends there. I understand Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm going to see him this weekend, who was also one of the members of the Legend House, and unfortunately, we just lost, Ronnie Piper. So, it's hard to think about Legend House, with the fact, that Piper is no longer among us.
Speaking of Legends House, with the WWE Network, fans get to watch all this programming, at their fingertips on this streaming media. Now, the fans who have caught you on the Legends House, maybe to sum it up for them, what could you tell them what the experience was like for you being in one house with several different personalities, to say the least?
Well, the wonderful thing that all of us got the opportunity of being in Legends House. See, most times when I saw Pat Patterson or when I saw Rocky Johnson or any of the wrestlers, we saw each other at the arenas. And then at the end of the day, each person, they would go to to their apartment or hotel or wherever they go. So we travel on the road together. So, but we never, how you say it, live together. We all have wives, we all have family, so we never lived together. So my mom used to always say, you never really know anybody until you live with them.
Yeah.
So, we share a hotel room with each other every now and then. But the genius of Vince McMahon, there was nobody at Legend House that I see anywhere else but in the arena. And that's why Vince did it that way. We was all strangers to each other. I would call a good guy babyface. Hacksaw, when he first started his career in Louisiana, he was a heel. Ronnie Piper was a heel. I couldn't travel with the heels. Pat Patterson, he was an office administration. I didn't travel with office people. So there was nobody there that I spent any time with. Hillbilly came in the gym a little bit later, but Hillbilly traveled with Uncle Elmer, in his group, and I was traveling with Rocky Johnson. So we really, I just left the WWE. There was only two people I traveled with in 2 years, Ted Long and Mark Henry. That was it. Everybody else I saw when I got there.
Sure.
When we got to the building. That's what so wrestlers are really strangers to each other. It's kind of like you go to work with a guy every day.
Yeah.
But when he get home, you don't know what he do.
Exactly.
This guy could be stringing off the chandeliers, eating bugs off the floor. You don't know.
Yep. Now,
all you see him at work every morning.
Yep.
And what he does when he get home, he probably love to take cold showers or pack himself in ice or whatever. Yeah.
Definitely. Now, we got to learn a lot on the show, especially that you're also an artist. Has art always been a part of your life?
Yep. I was pretty lucky. My mother was a very good drawer, and I never knew that I could draw until one day I went to Sunday school when I was a child in Virginia, and my mother couldn't afford coloring books. So what she did is she used to draw pictures for us to color in Sunday school. So what I did, when I color all my pictures, I used to turn it over on the back, and I used to draw what my mother drew. And that's when I learned that I could draw probably about 5 or 6, and I always just kept it up. It was like a therapy for me. When I got upset or something, I used to try with S.D. Jones, and S.D. said, Boss man, you got your art pad? I go, yeah. Good, boss man. Because he knew that whenever I got upset, I used to pull out my art pad. I had quite a temper when I was young. I was very temperamental young man. It shouldn't take much to make me jump on you.
So, were you able to do that a lot on the road, too, in between shows and matches? Were you able to just, take it easy?
Yeah. If you ever get my book, Too Much Too Soon by Scott Teal, press.com, you can read. I was a very temperamental person. The rest of the world was different, what it is today. The world in general was different. If you was a badass back in the 70s and 80s, they wanted you. The badder you was, the more they wanted. The more freaky you were, the more they wanted you. Wrestling was a totally different commodity. See, you don't have wrestlers no more. You have entertainers now.
Yeah.
We was wrestlers. We go into the bar, and we couldn't wait to pick a fight and beat up everybody.
Definitely.
Well, if you done that, it got in the newspaper. People pick up that newspaper, and they read it. Then they want to come and see the wrestler because they hear about 2 wrestlers clear a bar. You never hear stuff about with 2 guys go in the bar and run everybody out of the bar.
Sure.
And in the 70s and the 60s, that happened a lot. The old time belief, good publicity, bad publicity, it didn't matter. Reed Hanson one time, took and beat up a bunch of people in North Carolina. They put them on the car the next night, and The building sold out. The guys who go out to get in fights in the olden days, you have to be on top of the car. But then the world changed, and it didn't matter how tough you were anymore. The only thing mattered was who had the best warrior.
There you go.
If I do happen, you hit me, I'm going to shoot you.
Now, if we could rewind a little bit, can you take us back to when you actually teamed with Rocky Johnson? Now, you guys made history when you went on to beat the Wild Samoans, becoming the first African-American team to hold those belts. How did that feel to make history right there and then?
Well, in a way, it felt wonderful, but in another way, it was very, very sad because S.D. Jones told both me and Rocket we were the only guy that ever had that belt that never made money with it. Mm-hmm. They put it on us, but they didn't do nothing to whip us. We never got any serious matches. The Wild Samoans never got a return match. And they didn't do nothing with it.
Yeah.
The moment I went with Ron Summers was our world champion down in WCW. Same thing with him. Even though he was the world champion, the guy they was putting all the attention on, giving all the glory to, and I'm not complaining, it's just honest God truth. Uh-huh. If a man can't tell the truth, forget about it.
Sure.
Sting was still the number one guy. They just, they never let Ron Summers, most people don't even know Ron had the belt.
Yeah.
Ron was the first African-American champion, and most people, you talk about Ron Summers, who? Well, you say Sting, because that's who they promoted.
Yeah.
It was strange that they would give you a title. See, having a title is one thing. But if people don't promote it and do something with it, it means nothing. I mean, it was a great honor. I mean, me and Rocky, we really, was glad that we got that opportunity, but we wish that they had took it a little bit further. And if you ever think about it, when they broke us, the tag team of me and Rocky, you didn't hear about us anymore.
Yeah.
We got blackballed out there. Rocky got blackballed. I got blackballed. How can you win? We go from being world champion to being blackballed.
How do you see the evolution of black wrestlers in mainstream wrestling, maybe compared to when you started out? Do you feel that they're probably getting more shots today than you guys had back then?
Well, you see, to the wrestling fan, it wasn't about being black wrestlers. The fans don't look at that. What the fans look at is talent. You could have more talent than a person, but if that promoter don't like you or you're not in the clique, your talent means nothing. I knew when I first started in wrestling, the first thing the old time you said most of the best wrestlers are the ones that don't get no push because they're not in the clique. When you look at pictures of me and Rocky Johnson, there was nobody in the freaking world looking like us.
Yeah.
Just the talent-wise,
yep.
There was no guy with that type of body, that type of physique, and we wasn't stiff. We threw drop kicks, head scissors. They didn't have nobody in the business looking like that doing that tap. They do now.
Yeah.
But back in the early '80s, me and Rocky Johnson were probably the only bodybuilders. We looked like bodybuilders and moved like wrestlers. Rocky Johnson was a hell of an athlete, but as soon as we lost the title, tell me what happened to Rocky Johnson after they lost the title. You tell me what happened with him. He disappeared like he was up on Earth. How can that be? How can you go from the top of the world to out of sight like that? It's like somebody turned a light on.
Yep.
And it got nothing to do if you're not in the clique. Got nothing to do with your color. Got nothing to do with your nationality. It ain't what you know, it's who you know.
Definitely. Now, do you think we'll ever have a legitimate black champion as the face of a company? I mean, we've had champions, Booker T or Bobby Lashley, but somebody who can actually go, like a John Cena for years and years and be that, that face of the company. Do you think we'll get to that point sooner or later?
No, you won't, because the world is changing.
Oh, yeah.
The world The world is changing. One of the wrestling's biggest draw. When you think of since you want to talk the black thing, I'm gonna do it in a business way.
Okay.
Not in a. Yeah, I'm gonna do it business like. Now, every major sport in the world is dominated by minorities, blacks and Spanish or whatever. When you look at wrestling, it's one of the few sports that is not. Now, back in my day, being black was popular because they didn't have many black wrestlers. But now in the entertainment business, there's an old saying, once a book been read, it's old. That is entertainment. It's not racism. That's entertainment. When people turn on the TV, people like to see something they can relate to. And having a black champion in wrestling today don't really mean that much anymore. It did in the 70s and in the 80s, right after segregation, but right now it don't mean anything to the general public anymore. What color the wrestler are? They don't give a red ass what color it is. But wrestling is one of the very few sports. When you think about football, and when you look at most of your football team, what you say about 60 or 70% of the team is what? When you name any team that don't have at least 50% minority on the team.
Oh, yeah,
name one with that. Okay, basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball. How many Irishmen you see running up there in that court? You see now wrestling. Go to wrestling and what you see in wrestling. You don't see a lot of minorities in wrestling. Because it got nothing to do with racism or any of this crap that people want to try to sit there and tone out and say. What it got something to do with is your viewing audience. When they watch a basketball game, they see a bunch of black guys running down the court. They watch wrestling, see a bunch of white guys flipping around the ring. Just like black people like turning the channel and see some black people doing something. White people like turning the channel too and see some white people doing something.
Yep.
You know, it ain't got nothing to do with color no more. What it got to do something with is business. Once a book been read, it is old. And people like, especially the designers that like variety. So if you want to see a lot of success from white athletes, you watch wrestling. You want to see a lot of success for black athletes, you watch basketball. It's to do with race. It's got something to do with the viewing audience, depending on what you want to look at that day. Jimmy Snuka?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now think about what Jimmy looked like. Remember Junkyard Dog?
Yep.
Pedro Morales, the Wild Samoan, Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas, S.D. Jones. What do you see?
I see talent. That's what I see.
You see talent, but talent, minority talent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Fuji, Aido, a lot of minorities.
Yeah.
From 1985, the page flipped. Then you got Ronnie Piper. You got Mr. Perfect. You got Randy Savage. You got Hulk Hogan. You see how the page flipped?
Sure. Yep.
It went from Slooker to Hogan. It went from Don Morocco to Mr. Perfect. It went from Pedro Morales to Paul Orndorff.
Mm-hmm.
Once a book been read, it's old. For years, the old promotion, they used to feel that it was best to have a minority to represent every group in New York. That's why you have to have a Puerto Rican, you have to have an Italian, you have to have a Japanese, you have to have a black, you know?
Yep.
There was this, yeah, but see, because when you look at wrestling from 1985 back, there was a lot of minorities. And, that was on top. When I first started, the only white guy there was Bob Bachelor. You think about that stuff. We're just Bachelor.
Yeah. It's definitely amazing how, things change like that. And like you said, how once it gets old, as soon as people read that book, they got to move on to the next one or whatnot. So it's interesting, yeah.
It's got nothing to do with racism, got nothing to do with what it is, it got something to do with. No matter what it is, people get tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over. A lot of the ideas that Vince had, a lot of the old-time wrestlers didn't like it. They didn't think it would work.
Yep.
They didn't think it would work.
Definitely.
And so what they did, they want to keep things the way that they did it years and years and years ago. Vince understood marketing.
Yeah.
And he knew, right, his motto was supply and demand. So he listened to the people, just like this past election. What put Donald Trump in office and kept Hillary out? The Democrats did not listen to the people. The people wanted Bernie. He was the guy that was putting butts in the seats.
Yep.
You know, you have to go with what the fan wanted. And that's why what Vince's successful. He knew that wrestling had to change. You know, there's something to Washington, D.C. one time. She told me, you got to go to Washington. There's a lot of black people there. Mm-hmm. When I got to Washington, D.C., and got into the Capitol Center, me and S.D. Jones, all the black people in the whole building. Which means, you know, the white people didn't say that I was black. They want to see me and Hogan wrestling. See?
Yep.
They didn't care if Muhammad Ali was black. They want to see him fight.
Sure.
And when you have the same thing over and over and over with people, they get tired of looking at it.
Yep.
So you have to have that. That's what made Larry Bird such a popular guy. You don't see the white guy out there wrinking up that point like Bird did.
Yeah. That's right.
He was just like Taylor Woods. Hey, that's the same thing with Taylor Woods. You don't see no black guy out there doing a 67 or 68 on, you know. That's why the Williams sisters are so popular. Because you don't see a woman, no matter if she's black or white, hitting the ball at 120 miles per hour.
That's right.
The people don't care about color. They care about talent. But they don't. They want to see something different, too. So you have to have, you know, different something, especially in society today. Mm-hmm. Because the way the world is now, people expect so much to get bored so quickly. Uh-huh. That's why guys like me and Nikolai, we're so interested to people because we like old dinosaurs. We came from a time that these people didn't see.
Yep.
So now, what is old is now new.
That's right.
I'm new because you never seen an old dinosaur like me before. You know, I'm kind of like old T-Rex and they just risen from the grave. And hey, I remember guys like you.
We're big, our hometown area is Poughkeepsie, New York. Do you have any memories about wrestling at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York, or anything that stands out by chance?
That's when Vince first started doing TV. TV was always done in Allentown or Hamburg or Pennsylvania. And then Vince started doing TV in Poughkeepsie, New York. That was the first place he started doing his television taping.
Yep.
That's when Vince Jr. started doing his television taping. Vince Sr. always done his taping in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Yeah, so Poughkeepsie was the beginning of the big shows.
Definitely, a little birthplace, yeah.
That was the birthplace of it. So every wrestler that was around during that time remember Poughkeepsie.
Fans are always curious out there. Do you have any cool memorabilia that you've saved throughout your career that you still have today?
Well, not really. See, a lot of us wrestlers, like I said, the world changed. We didn't see it at $1 we seen it at junk. We threw it away.
Uh-huh.
You know, we didn't, like I said, the world changed. Sometimes we sit down, I'll give you a prime example. When I was a kid, we used to get baseball cards, right?
Yep.
And we put them in our bicycle spokes. And we ride the bike, used to make noise going down the street,
Yep.
With some of them baseball cards, and I used to put in my bicycle spoke. Sometimes I look at TV, some guy gives $5,000 for it. That's a lesson to learn. Us wrestlers, we learn a great lesson, something that may not mean nothing to you right now. I watched this thing, American Picker. Some guy got some old bicycle, don't even have no wheels, no spoke, just a frame. And it was $200.
It's crazy.
I see this stuff and we don't know. Sometimes people don't know their own wealth.
Yep.
You collect something and all of a sudden down the road, it worth a lot of money.
It's crazy.
Like people that got a Roddy Piper autograph. You know what an Andre the Giant autograph is worth? A lot, because you can't get another one.
Yep, that's right.
You can't get another Ronnie. If you don't have a Roddy Piper autograph, you would never get one, unless you buy it off of somebody. But you still don't get the privilege and the honor of sitting there watching Ronnie Piper sign that paper.
Definitely.
See, that's the only part that is missing about it. But you can't, when something's gone, it's gone.
Sure.
When time move on, time waits for nobody. It's gone. The world of wrestling that I was raised up with is gone. This is the new wrestling. This is the new world. But the new wrestling fits the new world. The wrestling that I did will not fit in today's society. It's not the same society. Like the music. The music that I listen to would not fit in today's society.
That's right. Well, so much has changed. So much has changed.
And we can look back at the past all we want, but nothing that happened in the past fits today's living society. So that's why I'm always interested in going to these shows. I get to meet the fans. I get to meet some of these wrestlers of my time, and I get to meet some of the younger wrestlers coming up in the future. So one thing that's going to be good about being there on the 19 and being there on the 20, I'm going to be the fans get to see the past and the future at the same time. That was what's so good about these independent shows. And at Bud Shop, people will come in and go see Jake Roberts, Tony Atlas, Hacksaw Jim Duggan from the past, and they're going to get to see a lot of new and upcoming stars. A lot of people they get an autograph from there that probably don't have a big name now. And 5 years from now, they're going to be glad they got the autograph.
That's right. I just want to remind everybody out there, too, once again, head on over to ESSpromotions.com for more information. Tony Atlas, I could probably talk to you all night, but I thank you so much for joining us today to talk a little bit more.
Well, I'll give you an example. Of what I just said. In 2009 or 2008, I took a picture with President-elect Donald Trump. At that time, in 2008, 2009, it was just Donald Trump, millionaire, the guy that cut off Vince McMahon hair. Yep. Now that picture have changed. There's not a picture with the Apprentice star anymore.
That's right.
That's a picture with the 45th president of the United States.
Anything could happen, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. I took a picture with Donald Trump, and you probably have seen it on the internet.
Yep.
Yep, and now that picture is Tony Atlas with the president.
Well,
I'm on the internet with the president, right? Just like that.
That's right. Well, Tony.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, that is, and I just want to say, thank you so much again for taking the time out tonight. We really appreciate it. And I know the fans around the world listening today appreciate it too.
Tell all the people coming to the show, Tony Atlas is still Jack, brother. Wait till you see me.
That's great. Well, we can't wait to see you, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, good night, sir. And have a happy Thanksgiving.
All right, AWP fans, listen up.
Yeah, we're talking to you.
We are a listener-supported podcast.
The show is created by wrestling fans for wrestling fans.
Each week, we bring to you one-of-a-kind interviews with pro wrestling's greatest superstars from yesterday and today.
We do this at no cost to you, the fans. Here are a few ways where you can support us and give us our love.
It's very simple. Rate us and review us. Go over to iTunes or Stitcher, Player FM, TuneIn, whatever it is. Just tell all your friends about it.
Follow us on all that social media stuff. Whatever you kids are doing these days. You can give us a like, follow us, a poke, a point, a German suplex if you're Brock Lesnar, whatever you want.
Lastly, if you are an ultimate AWP fan, head on over to ProWrestlingTees.com/Another Wrestling Podcast and purchase an official AWP shirt. There's more than one.
Today's show is brought to you by...
This is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Another Wrestling Podcast in association with Celeb VM. Order a personal video message from me and many other wrestlers and celebrities now. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Get a personal video message for yourself or as a gift for someone else. For personal connections, shout-outs, birthdays, proposals, weddings, and much more. Enter your details about yourself so the celebrity can record a personal video message, especially for you, including details such as your name, age, birthday, hobbies, or whatever else you include. As soon as the video has been recorded, you'll get an email with your link, so you can share it on social media or download and keep it. Celebrities record videos as and when they can, usually within 2 weeks. But if you want a video for a specific date and it does not look like it will arrive in time, you can cancel it and get an instant refund at the click of a button. There are hundreds of celebrities to choose from and many more joining every day. Search by category or genre. Buy a gift voucher, get updates and offers, and encourage your favorite celebrities to join so they can connect with fans in a fun and unique way. Raise money for their charities and much more. So order your video now for yourself or for someone else.
That's a great interview, Credo. I got to start jumping in on some of these interviews, but I'm just so afraid of offending somebody that I kind of just let me just stay in the background here. But let me again, big thank you to ESS Promotions and Tony Atlas for coming on the show today.
Definitely. Now, Kuter, we talked about NXT TakeOver. Now to the main attraction this weekend, right before Thanksgiving. It's Survivor Series. Now, it's a big Survivor Series. It's going to be another 6+ hour show. Who knows really how long it's going to be, but it's going to be a long time, so get your butt ready to sit down all weekend. Right before Thanksgiving, Kuter, right from the bottom to the top, let's talk about there's a lot of things happening. A lot of things could change the tides as we know it this weekend. Let's just start out with some of the regular matches and work our way up, shall we?
Okay, all right.
Right off the bat, the new Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, the forever Intercontinental Champion, I like to call him, because no matter what's going on, we need an Intercontinental Champion, we got The Miz. So, The Miz versus Sami Zayn, the winner. If Sami Zayn wins it, he can bring the Intercontinental Championship to Raw. And if The Miz retains, he keeps it on SmackDown. So this is a little big kind of a match to where the IC belt could go bye-bye from SmackDown.
This is incredible. And you know what was the most incredible thing about The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler? Was the fact that if The Miz won, he would become a 6-time Intercontinental Champion, tied with Rob Van Dam, and yes, I can't believe this man's name got dropped on WWE TV, Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, wow. There you go. A lot of history in the making this weekend, so I think we talked a little bit about it last week, but do you think Sami Zayn's going to pull this off and bring it to Raw?
You know what's funny is the winner of this, of the Survivor Series matches between Raw and SmackDown, it doesn't really matter. Because even if Sami Zayn wins it, I think SmackDown wins all the series, and they're going to just draft him back to SmackDown anyway, which I think would be great for Sami anyway, just because he seems to be stuck in shit programs on Raw. They really don't have anything for him. Let's put him on SmackDown. It's a shame because I would have loved to have seen Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler. I'm tired of the face versus heel matches. You know, 2 over guys just in competition is a good enough storyline for me. I don't need, the good guy versus the bad guy. I can have the good guy competing with the good guy for a title. There's nothing wrong with that, Vince. Enough with the E part.
I'll tell you what. I think we're going to see something happen this weekend. What we're going to see happen is we'll get that to the next match, but I think the Cruiserweight are going to go to SmackDown and the IC is going to go to Raw. Now, if this does happen, okay, we get the Cruiserweights off Raw, and now we have the IC Championship on Raw. So now, as it would stand, if Sami Zayn does win it and he brings that IC Championship back to Raw, you have the IC Championship, you have the United States Championship, you have your own Raw Tag Team Champions, and you have the Raw Universal Champion and the Raw Women's Champion. That's at least 5 championships right there. SmackDown would have the Cruiserweight Championship if Kalisto wins. They would have their WWE World Heavyweight Championship and their own the Women's and SmackDown the Tag Team Championships and Women's Championships. So that's 4 championships. Yeah, so we're having a little bit of balance of power here. So regardless, we'll get to the Cruiserweights in a second, but I think this is going to happen, Kuter. I think Sami Zayn is going to win it and bring that championship to Raw. And, quite frankly, he needs it. Sami Zayn needs that gimmick, man, because he doesn't have the gimmick to where he's a plumber, he's an actor, he's, he's I don't know what his thing is. It's like
he's a fucking weirdo. That's what he is.
He has ska pants on, but then it's in Arabic. That means, what his old character, it's a lot of mess. So Sami Zayn, I believe he's a great wrestler. He's done a lot for the company. before the main roster. So I think Sami Zayn deserves it, and I think he needs this more than anybody right now to help get him over a little bit and to carry this championship. So,
I agree with you. He definitely needs it, but I think you're right. He brings it to Raw, but I think he ends up getting drafted back to SmackDown. I don't see them putting two, how do I want to say this, mid-card titles on the same brand. They've never done that. I don't think they will do that. I think you need that mid-card title to build up your mid-card. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
unless SmackDown makes some new belt that I have no idea, like what else could they add to the SmackDown roster? Like a TV championship
so we got a world title, we got an intercontinental title. Unless they bring back like a European championship.
I know it's a head scratcher. So I mean, it's like the Oprah show. You get a title. Everybody gets a title in the new landscape they have. But let's move right along.
Post-apocalyptic era Afghani world title.
Well, that'll sure be a first in the books. Well, to further debate this, we have the Cruiserweight champion Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto, who has returned from a mysterious injury, and now all of a sudden he gets a shot at the Cruiserweight championship because A, they don't know what to do with him on Raw. B, they're booking them like the Divas, and it's the Cruiserweight Championship has been a blessing, but at the same time it's been a curse for them because they have horrible writers that don't even know how to book them properly. So, with the addition of what we heard too of 205 Live happening on SmackDown after, so it's going to be SmackDown, then 205 Live, and then after that it's going to be Talking Smack. So you have an hour after SmackDown, which is just going to be Cruiserweights. So that, in my mind, signals, hey, the Cruiserweights are moving to SmackDown to where...
Oh, of course. But that's why I think they keep that mid-card title there, too. Because they're going to have that whole hour dedicated to just the Cruiserweights.
It's a lot of things have to fall into place, but it's hard to say. So it's going to be, from the IC Championship to the Cruiserweight Championship, these are the only championships that are on the line this weekend. So it's interesting.
It's good to see Kalisto back from that, that weird injury. I heard he got his ball sack stuck in a mouse trap because, they were just hanging low. Get it? Yeah.
He could be somewhat right, ladies and gentlemen. So you never know here. We're breaking news.
It is the E in WWE. I don't know. I mean, Kalisto has really not done much outside of I think he got the U.S. title.
Yep, he won the U.S. championship, and then it was like,
he had that program with Ryback, which, they didn't even get matches on WrestleMania. They were both pre-show matches between, I think it was Mania and Backlash. I mean, come on, he hasn't really done anything important to where he's been on a major card. That's why I'm so excited about these Big Four now is these longer pay-per-views. There's more spots on the card. Yep. We don't have pay-per-view restrictions. We have the network. We can do whatever the hell we want. So, you know what? This is kind of cool. I'm going to say they give it to Kalisto, obviously. I hate that this belt seems like it's just going to, change hands like, a prostitute.
It's like the new hardcore championship, 24/7 rule pretty much.
It's just being passed around like a whore at a party. It's just not cool. I hate that.
And if it does move to SmackDown, I hope Daniel Bryan or somebody can at least talk to him like, hey guys, you got to book him like this. You got to do it like this. And like we even talked about it too a few weeks ago to where it's get rid of the storylines and just let them wrestle. They, we don't need to know what they're doing outside or why they're so angry. Just freaking let them wrestle. And then as time goes on, then we could build in little stories here and there. But seriously, that's what the Cruiserweight division is. That's what we need these guys to do. They're fast-paced wrestling. We don't need fast-paced storylines or booking them like divas, so just let them wrestle.
And what else is exciting about it is that for them to be on SmackDown, their matches would be called by Mauro Ranallo, which I really enjoy because he actually can call play-by-play. I don't want to hate on Cole. I don't want to be that guy. I mean, he's gotten better over the years, but that fast-paced action, and the moves that these guys do, he's not really familiar with everything. And Mauro Ranallo is. And him and Daniel Bryan were just calling great, great matches and did a good job doing it. So, I mean, this is right up Mauro Ranallo's, alley. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to because I really enjoy his work too. I got to say.
Definitely. So hopefully that might be a blessing in disguise if they do move over to SmackDown, but we shall see. Now, moving on to some of these matches, Kuter, now we're getting into the Survivor Series matches. Like I said, man, if they did some traditional tag matches where they had like actual team names, I would have been happy with that. But let's hear that. So it's basically Raw versus SmackDown. Let's start with the 10-on-10 tag team elimination match.
God, how the fuck do you do that?
So before I run out of breath, let me read all the teams in this. So we have The New Day, Sheamus and Cesaro, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the Shining Stars versus Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, American Alpha, the Usos, and Breezango for SmackDown. So we have 10 teams. They say it's an elimination match, so WWE always like changes the book or changes the rules like last minute. So I'm pretty sure that if your teammate gets pinned, your team is gone. So that's how I'm guessing this match is going to go, and I'm sure
it would have to be. I mean,
yeah, because you can't
10
just
eliminations.
Yeah, so it's going to be crazy. I don't know. This is a huge match. I think they should have actually had the tag team championships on the line too, and not have. I would have scrapped this 10-on-10 elimination match. But what do you say about this? Who's going to pull off the win in this big match?
Oh boy.
And you get bragging rights too, I guess, for the best tag team, right, on the Raw.
You know
or
what's
SmackDown?
crazy is, I suspect that SmackDown wins the whole thing, and to do that, you got to take 2 out of these 3. I really want to say Raw because I think they have the better teams, but they also have the teams that have like so much against each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the New Day does not get along with Luke Gallows and Anderson or the Shining Stars. I mean, the SmackDown's teams they seem to work as the cohesive unit, and they don't really have the beef and the drama.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to go with the SmackDown team just based on the fact that there's less dissension amongst the team.
All right. I'm going to have to go with the Raw team, but I mean, something's going to have to come out of here to where they're going to have to work some programs into like whatever happens, you know, you're going to get like matches built off of this match. So, fan favorites, I'm going to have to say Enzo and Cass pick up the win for their team, for Team Raw, which then hopefully leads to a tag team championship match against the New Day. They got to give them something else, do something else with them. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull for Raw on this one. Hopefully,
the guys who've been jobbing week in and week out on Raw, and you're giving it to Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
I didn't say the Shining Stars, right? So I didn't say Breezango.
You know what? Let's have a little fun here. Let me ask you a question here. Out of all these teams, which team do you hate the most?
Well, on the Raw side, it would have to be the Shining Stars. And here's the thing: if you called them the Colognes, or didn't call them the Shining Stars, and they didn't carry out stupid timeshares, I would love them. But you made them so stupid and gimmicky to where, trust me, like I said, I like that they're not the Ninja Turtles anymore, the Los Matadores. But but still, it's like they don't need a gimmick; they just need their last name. That's good enough. So I would take the Shining Stars that I hate the most. And also on SmackDown, I would have to go Breezango. I mean, the Fandango is fine. I still know his gimmick. But then even Tyler Breeze, man, poor guy. They were fine as almost like a Zoolander type gimmick. But now they're dressing as cops all the time.
The fashion police, baby.
Oh, come on. I'm never going to take them seriously. So, yeah.
I figured you were going to pick Sheamus and Cesaro because you hate how singles guys are just thrown together as a team.
I do, but there's more hate with the Shining Stars and Breezango than there is with those guys.
All right. So you're picking Raw, I'm picking SmackDown. Let's talk about the 5-on-5 women's elimination match. On the Raw side, we got Charlotte, the captain. We have Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks. And I'm sure Dana Brooke will be in their corner versus Carmella, Nikki Bella, who is the captain, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, and Becky Lynch with their coach, Natalya.
Okay, first off, before we even get into the match, you're bringing people up to expose them to build new stars. Like, for example, Dana Brooke. You brought her up to fill Emma's spot when she got injured. So build her. I love Alicia Fox, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, she's yesterday's news. You know what I mean? You're never going to put the belt on her. You're never going to do anything with her except for job her to other people. get rid of Alicia, and put Dana Brooke in that spot. And
don't you feel like the women need enhancement talent as well? I mean, we can't have awesome match after awesome match every time. We need a few jobbers in there.
Well, I mean, so you have this 5-on-5, but then you're saying that Dana Brooke and Natalya are going to be on the outside. Like, stop. Like, just get rid of one of the people and replace them with that person. And like for Natalya, man, I really wish they would let Natalya do what she can do and wrestle, because she is the vet out of all these women right now, and I think having her just let loose in the ring would be a lot better, to where we could have done without, I don't know, Naomi or I don't know, one of these other people on SmackDown. Like, you're making her a coach. Come on. So that first off, just I hate that. I hate where they have like a 5-on-5, but we're still going to have other girls around the ring who aren't like the valets or whatever. They're really wrestlers. So that pisses me off, first off. But what to do with this match now? You have this is your women's revolution, if you will. These are the best of the best of the main roster women against each other. Man, I don't know what to do. I think that they're such on a high horse with Charlotte right now, where she has to win everything, and she has that streak going for her. So I think I forget what it is now, but it's like 12, 13, 14, whatever pay-per-views in a row where she's won. So she has that going for her. So I think her team could win, but at the same time, since it's such a huge match of 5-on-5, her losing, it makes her streak ending. It ends her streak, but at the same time, it doesn't make her look weak as a champion, and Becky Lynch weak as a champion. But if they get pinned, it might be a little bit different. But I mean, I don't know. I think Charlotte's team's gonna win. I think the Raw women will win this one.
Oh, I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to agree with you for a different reason. They're going to really turn some heads with this one, and I think this is going to be Nia Jax's coming out party. I really do, because they're really getting behind her, making her look like this monster on TV, and I think you're going to see her beat some ass. And you know what? I think, like I said, it's her coming out party, and I think they throw her in a title picture. Mm-hmm. Maybe not next month, or but I can definitely see her testing Charlotte in a way that nobody else has. Nobody has been able to be physically dominant over Charlotte. I mean, we've had Bayley get lucky in a match against her and pin her. We've had Sasha Banks, outclass her from time to time, but Nia Jax is just a total different beast, and this is going to be the one match of the night that Raw wins, and I think it's going to be because of her.
Well, I think this is a point, too, where you can actually have, like, Dana Brooke, since she's kind of like Charlotte's little crony, to where, Charlotte pushes Dana Brooke out and gets injured or does something to where Nia Jax hits her, and then this is where you could team up Nia Jax with Charlotte as the old like HBK Diesel kind of a wrestler bodyguard kind of thing, and then down the line have her team her with Nia Jax with Charlotte being like a little a unit, if you will, and then eventually down the line she gets pissed off and turns on Charlotte, and then you have that little thing. But there's so many ways I would book it. That's just me in my head, but I don't know. At the end of the day, who's winning this? Are you going to say Nia Jax is going to win it for Team Raw?
I'm saying Nia Jax is going to beat some asses. I mean, I don't think she'll get the final pin, but I really feel like she'll get at least 2 eliminations, maybe 3.
All right. Well, I don't know really what else you could talk about this women's match. I mean, it sure will be different, and I'm sure they're going to want to top the boys that night, so we'll see what happens. Moving right along, the 5-on-5 men's elimination match, where we have Chris Jericho, the Universal Champion Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, the United States Champion, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins for Team Raw, versus the WWE Heavyweight Champion AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Shane McMahon, Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton with James Ellsworth.
Your boy, James Ellsworth!
Dude fucking made a payday on I don't know what. This is the match. What's happening with the 5-on-5 men's elimination match? Raw versus SmackDown.
Team SmackDown, I have to pick it. I mean, the return of The Undertaker, where he says WrestleMania will no longer define him. He's back to taking souls and digging holes, and you have nothing to fear in losing but The Undertaker. So if Team SmackDown loses, the Undertaker will be whooping some asses, according to him. Does this mean he's back full time? Will he be making more appearances? It's not just going to be WrestleMania. I don't know, but I think because they brought him out right before, and this is like the clear indicator, you guys have to win this, and I really think Team SmackDown takes. They really do have the better team, if you ask me.
No, for sure. But I don't want to see AJ Styles versus Undertaker would be cool. We don't need another Shane McMahon Undertaker, Bray Wyatt Undertaker, Randy Orton Undertaker, whatever. It's like
crazy. Yeah, you know what? The Undertaker literally has victories over 3 members of that team at WrestleMania. I mean,
AJ Styles versus The Undertaker would be awesome. And to me, if you headline that for the Royal Rumble, like, come on, like that's awesome right there. And then I don't know, this could be the Taker's last run. So whoever does lose, and it almost seems with that appearance that Team SmackDown could lose, even though they have the better team. It could just be one big build-up for the next opponent for Undertaker. Whatever match, whatever show, right?
Yeah, I really don't see them losing. I think SmackDown needs the talent, and I think Raw has a lot of guys that they're not using, and I think this is going to be their way out in getting more TV time and better programs for certain people.
I think this match at the end of the day too is just going to be a catalyst to start some feuds fresh, to where could this be the breakup of Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens?
They're best friends, Credo. Never.
I know, but something could happen in the match so it makes them lose it. Could something happen with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman to where they set up a feud for the U.S. Championship, or Seth Rollins and Strowman, or something? Like each side has like something happens in the match where this guy gets eliminated because of this reason, and that right there will be the reason for the next feud of whoever. So it's it's like tossing names in a hat and picking them out and see who's going to fight next in a way. But it's a good break though, if you will, too. How many each month you have the championship match, then you got the rematch, then you got the rubber match, and it's like just come up with a new damn match for somebody, and this kind of breaks that a little bit for both shows, to where Kevin Owens doesn't have to defend the belt, or AJ Styles doesn't have to defend the belt, but hopefully it breathes some new life into everybody, because the pay-per-view after this is a SmackDown pay-per-view, so regardless of what happens, the next time these guys get together will probably be, for the Rumble or the in-between pay-per-views, right?
This is true. Oh, man. I mean, here's something I want to ask you. Because we've been feeling like poor Kevin Owens. We don't really talk about him much. And he's the Universal Champion. And we feel like he's been outshined by Chris Jericho and all his antics. And you were of the opinion that you really weren't liking these two paired together. They've really started to grow on me.
No, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love them both. I love what they're doing, but at the same time, it's like when you talk about Kevin Owens' run as the Universal Champion, the second Universal Champion. I mean, Finn Balor had it for a day, so this is the first actual run with the title. So, his first run is almost being overshadowed with being teamed with Jericho. I mean, he hasn't had a strong showing, except for, his buddy Chris Jericho saved him a few times, and I get it. That's how heels are booked, but at the same time, I don't think he needed that. I think he's a strong personality alone, but they never really gave him that to shine. It's almost like Triple H said, hey, I want the belt on him. Let's see what he's going to do with it, because what he's done for the NXT Championship, the IC Championship, beating John Cena on his debut. Let him run with this, and then it's almost like creative or Vince saying, I don't know, let's throw Jericho with him, just to make sure, or something like that.
Yeah, we got to throw a heater on somebody who gets the most heat out of anybody on the roster. That made no sense to me either. But what was so funny is it's funny you say that. He comes in beating John Cena. He really brought some prestige to the NXT title, and then they pair him with Jericho, and I really feel like he wasn't embracing that at all at first. And now I really see him trying to make it work with Chris. It's just some of the funniest TV ever.
That's right.
I mean, they feed off of each other. It's great. And just Jericho with this goddamn list. He could say it 5 times in an episode, and I don't think it ever gets old.
So are we going to see James Ellsworth use some sweet chin music and cost Team SmackDown, or I don't know?
No chin music. The no chin.
Yeah.
You know what? I really feel like he's going to get somebody eliminated on his team, and it's probably going to be Ambrose. Who knows? Maybe he does a heel turn and aligns himself with AJ Styles, which really piss you off and make me the happiest mark in all of Another Wrestling Podcast.
Moving on. No. So, what are you saying? Who's winning? Who's winning this? You're saying Team SmackDown? All right, I'm going with Raw. I'm going to have to say Seth Rollins. I think, he hasn't won the championship. He hasn't been around with the championship for a while, so I think giving him this win for the team might do some good. But that brings us to our main event, Kuter. Now, that is if they don't add another match here and there within those 6 hours we're going to be watching. But this is it, man. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. And I quote, since Goldberg was just on Raw this weekend, he said he tweaked his shoulder and he's been in so much pain. So I think Goldberg's already injured before he even steps into the ring again. So
God,
it's one of those things, man. You throw in that 56-year-old back in the ring, and it's.
What did he do that he hurt his shoulder? Come on.
He said he tweaked his shoulder and that he's in pain, or something. He told somebody, but yeah, there you go.
Oh God, you know what? I'm in pain every morning I wake up, and I'll bitch and complain about it. I just take a couple of Advil, 3 shots of vodka, and I go to work. I'm so uninterested in this whole match, Credo. I really am.
I mean, it's kind of okay. We get the nostalgia of it. This happened at WrestleMania 20, and now it's happening again. But Brock is always a beast, and probably forever be a beast. And Goldberg, I mean, he looked. Don't get me wrong, he still looked in good shape, but still, I mean, it looks good on the outside, not so much on the inside. So.
Listen, there's like what do they call that? A statute of limitations for this kind of shit with me. Anything that's been like 10 years in the making, I really don't give a fuck. That's really how I feel. It's like if you would have done this like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, where we don't have to worry about Goldberg, pulling his groin, taking a shit. At his age, I might have been a little bit more invested. They did okay with the build-up and the backstage segment with Brock and everything that Goldberg has done has been pretty good, but it's 12 years later. Do you really give a shit?
I think this is one of WWE's problems, is that they don't have anybody in the back who's a mark saying like, hey, you need to get so-and-so back here for this kind of match. Like, look at Sting, man. Sting waited forever. He gets one match, loses at Mania, has another match, and then ends his career against Seth Rollins, to where he had no WWE career. He waited too long, and, they ruined it. WWE tried. They almost tried milking it too much, and I feel like WWE is going like, okay, we need, they need to make these big 4 pay-per-views again each year. So Survivor Series is going to have this match, because some people will be like, well, why don't you wait for WrestleMania for this? But
I get the special attraction shit. I do.
To make Survivor Series big, you have like the special attraction match. But yeah, once again, it's too little, too late almost. I mean, granted, it's awesome to see these guys being able to still go, but once again, too, it's like you're past your prime, and how good of the match is this going to be? And, granted, Brock has had an incredible year, past few years, returning here, went back to the UFC, he got a win regardless of how he got it. He still got that W.
He got a positive test for something too, but whatever.
So, he's still a beast, man. He's that new phenom, ever since he beat Taker at Mania, he's that new attraction. And, having him against Goldberg, I get the nostalgia, but it's like, come on, are you really putting your money on Goldberg to win this?
God.
And and then after that superhero for kids promo, it's like, come on, now you're just digging a deeper hole with this. And
I know, and that's the thing. You brought up the Sting thing earlier. If we would have had one match with Sting, because we got 2, the one person you would have wanted to see it again, and this was a match that probably would have had no time limit, to where I would still, like we make fun of The Undertaker coming to WrestleMania, once a year. Every year it happens, because, we always say that he starts walking down the aisle at the Royal Rumble just to make it to his match at Mania.
Yeah.
And we're tired of seeing The Undertaker. But the one match that everybody wanted to see was him and Sting.
Yep.
So, but instead of that, we get Triple H and then Seth Rollins breaking his neck.
And that's
that
the thing.
Makes sense to who?
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like, whoever's thinking about this stuff or these matches, it's like, they're trying to milk it too much, and you gotta understand.
Not that, just not doing it in a timely fashion.
Yeah, they wasted it.
Match 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, you wasted. So wait, who did? So Taker fought at Mania Bray Wyatt that year, right? It was Sting versus Triple H and Wyatt versus Taker.
Good question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. So it's like right there. I mean, you wasted that. You wasted it, and it's like. Granted, I know they're not trying to maybe waste it again, but at the same time, it's like, come on, how good is this match going to be? The first match was freaking terrible. And now with this how many year gap in between, you think being that much older is going to make it much better? So, like I said, the attraction, I get it. You made a game with these guys in it, so you got to put them back in the ring. But still, man, Goldberg's going to break a hip, I think.
Break a hip? He's going to break a hip walking down the fucking... The ramp.
So does this close the show? Is this the main event?
Of course it is. I mean, everyone's paying their $9.99 to see fucking, a legit badass beat up a senior citizen. I mean, that's literally what's going to happen.
How long do you think Goldberg's entrance is going to be? Is it going to top Taker's?
Oh, no, come on, because he doesn't walk doing like a quarter mile an hour. No, come on now.
All right, so we have Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Is it the obvious answer who's winning?
Oh, God, it's got to be Brock Lesnar. We can't have him decimate John Cena with 16 suplexes. And the Undertaker streak basically has been unbeatable. I don't think he's been pinned since WrestleMania 29.
Well,
when Triple H did it, of course.
Now this is the WWE in booking, and then they do like to throw a bone here and there to where, hey, they want to throw a wrench in what we think is going to happen. Is there any possible outcome to where Goldberg wins? And like, what does that do for Brock? Like, I'm just playing devil's advocate here to where it could happen. What if it does happen? It might not happen, but there's a slight chance that WWE could be like, fuck you all, Goldberg's winning this one. You know what I mean? Like, and then just to get another match out of it, or I don't know.
If that happens, I thank God we'll just turn off my television and probably just, I don't know, watch Walking Dead or something.
Well, there you go. Survivor Series in a nutshell. Will it keep me interested not to change the channel for The Walking Dead? So that's pretty much how it sums up this year's Survivor Series. I don't know, man. I think we talked about everything we could about Survivor Series. Any final thought about these pay-per-views this weekend?
Just a question. Are you going to get a bigger boner from Asuka versus Mickie James or the 5-on-5 women's match?
Mickie James.
Boner!